Would like to lead off this evening's video by asking one simple question of Trump supporters. Is this what you voted for? Is this what you supported? Is this what you want to see more of? Because make no mistake, unless this administration slows its roll in Venezuela, you're going to see all sorts of caskets draped with the American flag rolling off aircraft. Now, I know a lot of people have bought into the nonsense propaganda coming from the current Secretary of Defense about what our capabilities are, but make no mistake, Venezuela is not Afghanistan. Venezuela is not Iraq. Venezuela was our ally for a long time, and there will be bloodshed. Lots of it. I'm getting older by the day. My memory doesn't serve like it used to, but I do think I distinctly remember in the last election cycle, Trump supporters saying, hey, if we elect Harris or we elect the Biden-Harris agenda or whoever would run, that's going to mean more war. If we elect Trump, it'll mean less war. Well, folks, we have the USS Iwo Jima on its way to Venezuela. Now, why is this different than any other ship? Well, you can sail destroyers around all over the world, and it really doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. This is a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship. It only has one mission. It can carry an entire Marine expeditionary force. It is meant for putting boots on the ground from shore. That is its main job. That is what it was built for. It carries helicopters, it carries Harriers, it carries F-35s, Ospreys, short-range attack aircraft for landing support for boots on the ground. Period. That is its mission. You don't send this as a show of force. You send this when you have a mission. Now, real quick, before we get into the details of what's really happening and the trap that's being laid for us, would like to have gratitude, express gratitude for those of you, who have continued to join us at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. It's the very singular reason that there is still a Florida Maquis YouTube channel. The people that have decided to step up and support our efforts over there to pull the veil off and clear the fog of psychological operations. I'm sure a lot of people are aware that psychological operations are going on, but they don't know the nuts and bolts of how they work and why they work and continue to work over and over again every time they've tried. If you'd like to see those details, if you'd like to learn those tactics and techniques, join us. Love to have you over there. There's 4 levels. McKee Foot Soldiers, Need to Know Roundtable, Unit Commanders, Brigade Commanders, whatever level you decide to join, God bless you. Would love to have you over there. Fully refundable first 90 days, no questions asked. Pretty big discount if you sign up for an entire year. Without any further delay, let's get right to it. The biggest problem with sending an amphibious assault craft to the coast of Venezuela is that Venezuela has over 5,000 Russian-made man-pads missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, stationed along their coast. A lot of people didn't realize that. We reported it many, many years ago. People weren't really paying too much attention to my channel back then because they thought I was some evil, terrible, horrible socialist. When I was in the military, Venezuela was our ally. The Colombians were our enemy. That's right. The reason Venezuela has F-16s to fly over our destroyers, like happened last week, is because Ronald Reagan, you know, that evil, terrible, horrible socialist president we had, Ronald Reagan, the first country, non-NATO country, to get the F-16 was Venezuela, and they were socialists back then too. But they were our ally. We have many countries around the world who are our ally, who are socialists. Well, guess what? If we start sending amphibious assault craft over there and think that we're just going to start dumping soldiers off onto the coast of Venezuela under air cover, they're going to get picked off. And they're going to get shot down. You know, by a bunch of backwards heathens with bows and arrows or spears. These are Russian-made anti-aircraft weapons. They are absolutely no joke. Pete Hegseth was actually on the Iwo Jima, talking up the mission that they're going to have, the front lines of defending the American homeland, blah, 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 blah. This is his counterpart. This guy is named Vladimir Padrino Lopez, and he's easily old enough to be Hegseth's father, maybe his grandfather. And guess where he took his training? Vladimir Padrino Lopez, the leader of the Venezuelan armed forces, was trained at Fort Benning, Georgia, primarily in psychological operations, U.S. psychological operations. Now, the difference between the Venezuelan military and the U.S. military is pretty big in the sense that they don't have anybody who's ever worn a dress, regardless of their chromosomes, in any command position. Let me say that again. They don't have anyone who has ever worn a dress, regardless of their chromosomes, in any command position. They don't believe in having women in those positions, or even men who believe they're women, or men who think they're this, that, like we have in the U.S. military. This guy knows his game. This is who Hegseth is going to have to go nose to nose with. But it gets even worse. See, most of these guys, and this is what people don't understand about Venezuela, they trace their roots to Spain, not to Mexico, not to the natives of this hemisphere. These people are European in their heritage and in their intelligence and in their ability to field a military. We trained them. We worked alongside them. They know every bit as much about how to fight a ground war as we do, and they have a lot more people. Pardon me. Almost had a sneeze there for a minute. And it's not even just that. Pardon me for 1 second. Okay, I think I beat it. Sorry about that. It's not even just that. It's not even just their military. If U.S. forces set one boot on South American soil, the ELN, this is the Ejército Liberación Nacional, it's a left-wing militia. Now down there, this is another video for another day, down there, their definition of what they call left-wing and right-wing is very different than what we call left-wing and right-wing up here. The left wing in South America has absolutely no use for the progressive liberal pansies in North America. This is a very different group of leftists. And they're very well trained, very heavily armed, and they know how to fight. But believe me, and who are they fighting? Well, they usually have been fighting the Gaitanistas, right-wing militias down there. They go back and forth. But if they had a chance to join forces to fight against Americans, they would. But guess who else would show up in mass? The FARC. The Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarias de Colombia. And they would pour across the border in thousands. In the thousands to join the Gaitanistas, to join the ELN. Peruvian Shining Path fighters would show up in Venezuela to fight. You think Tren de Aragua's bad? The PCC out of Brazil. The Comando Vermelho, Familia del Norte, and PCC is, what is it? I'm trying to remember what the acronym stands for. Primero Capital Command, something like that. Somebody out there help me. The CV and the FDN joined forces to fight against the PCC, but believe me, if they had a chance to go kill Americans, kill North Americans, kill gringos, they would. So they would show up as well. And most of these guys are former Brazilian armed forces guys. And the Brazilian armed forces are no joke. Go look them up. They're ranked top 10 in the world, top 10 military in the world. A lot of people don't realize that about Brazil. A lot of people think from this hemisphere, of course, the U.S. is the number one military based on the amount of money and spending and toys. But when it comes to boots on the ground and training, folks, I don't like our chances. I really don't. We tried this once, remember? Remember when we tried to send the guys down there to secretly meet with Venezuelan traitors that were going to turn on, and it lasted 5 seconds? It was over before it started, believe me. I could have sworn that this guy in the White House right now said that he was going to get us out of wars. Folks, if you want a war, South America is going to be the place that might embarrass America finally. And for those of you out there who are still stuck in this ridiculous time loop where you believe it was evil, terrible, horrible socialism that caused Venezuela to fail, and that's why, no, the U.S. collapsed their currency on purpose using the Colombians. They would go in there, they would buy up all of their goods, they would take them across the border, they would charge exorbitant rates for them, but only in Venezuelan currency. So all the Venezuelan currency would go across the border into Colombia. And then, of course, there would be a shortage of currency in Venezuela, so they would have to print more money. And then once so much more money was printed, then the Colombians would take that Venezuelan currency and then dump it back into Venezuela again and cause the death spiral. We covered all this a long time ago. The sanctions destroyed Venezuela, and the proof would be in the pudding. We wouldn't need an embargo. If the socialism destroyed the country, then why would we need to sanction and embargo them? Make no mistake. The Brazilians have their own discussions about Lula da Silva or Jair Bolsonaro. But when it comes to American boots on the ground in South America, there's no light between them. There's no light between them, and it gives me no joy to say this. There will be lots and lots and lots of caskets rolling off at Dover if we put boots on the ground, and you're not going to intimidate people out there. Well, they're sending it to intimidate Maduro. You're not going to intimidate Maduro. He has the Russians on his side. He has the Chinese on his side. He has the world's largest untapped reserve of oil and gigantic gold mines. There's also lithium down there. There's all sorts of untapped resources. That's what this is really all about. The U.S. government couldn't give a shit less about your kids sucking down fentanyl. Let me say this again, and let me say it very clearly. Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance and Donald Trump do not give one rat's ass about your kids sucking down fentanyl and ending up on a slab in the morgue because of it. They don't give a shit about that. It does make for some great press, though, so that they can go use the U.S. military to seize all those natural resources. But believe me, that's not going to be allowed. I'm going to say it again, and you can look it up. Those ships are never coming ashore. Those aircraft are going to get plinked out of the sky, one by one by one. And wait till you start seeing U.S. troops be put online, having been captured and being held. And you see it every night on the news. 8, 10, a dozen, 100. And then we end up in a full-scale shooting war with what would likely be millions of people. Because like I said, the right wing, the ELN, the FARC, the AGC would all pour in from Colombia. The cartels from Brazil would come in because they'd have a vested interest. and plus the people of Venezuela alone. It would be an absolute bloodbath in Venezuela. There would be no surrender. There would be no peace treaty. There's going to be no assassinating Maduro. Because believe me, you're just going to put another socialist in charge. He's not even the worst one. Believe it or not, he's not even the worst one. And I say that pejoratively because there are people out there now who think that, well, gosh, isn't Venezuela, isn't everybody starving in Venezuela? Yeah. Gosh, think of that. I thought back in 2017, 18, 19 that by now, 2025, for sure the entire population of Venezuela will have starved. Apparently, they're not starving. Apparently, they have found a way to exist. They have found a way to make their way forward and continue to pump oil and make allies and go to work and feed their children without the blessings of the United States, with Nicolas Maduro still in power. Please explain, those of you out there who say that socialism fails every time it's tried, those of you who say that, please explain how Venezuela is still going. And also explain why you think this is worth it. Love to hear the comment section. Truly. Who knows? Maybe this will have to be at some point talked about over at Patreon as well. Love to have you over there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.